Excellent. So happy to be here. Eric Leafgreen. We have Alex Krouse, leader of the AAPCP, fellow board member, developed the whole program himself, fearless leader here. So appreciate you coming on a couple good minutes with us. I'm going to ask everyone this question. How did you get into physician compensation?
Oh, gosh, yeah, that's a good question for everybody. Yeah. No, I guess I got into physician comp. I was hired into a law firm where they gave me the option, do I want to do just normal healthcare work, or do I want to work with a guy named Bob Wade? You know Bob.
I know Bob.
You're good
Captain
buddy,
Integrity.
Bob. Yes, Captain Integrity. Now, shortly after, he did ask me to wear the Captain Integrity costume. He has an outfit.
He sent me the pictures.
Yes. But that was how I got into it. I picked working with him over others. Mistake, who knows, but no, it was great. I got into it there, and then in private practice worked a lot with valuators, everybody else, and then went in-house and absorbed more of it there. So yeah,
That's exciting. So when you go home though at the end of the day, what does your family think that you do compared to what you actually do?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, some of the family thinks I just determine and negotiate back and forth with doctors all day, which is on some level, like a very basic level of the truth. But then there's others, my spouse, my wife, she obviously understands the depth of it, probably much like our members, but from everybody else, like my kids and stuff, I mean, I tell them I'm a lawyer, but they think it's some mixture of a police officer / like you don't have weapons to enforce the law. So I'm not really sure what they think I do. Yeah.
That makes sense. We've heard a lot of different answers from folks today. It's pretty impressive what family thinks that people do in this space.
Yes.
As we kind of pivot and look forward, this conference has grown. We were 100 people in Indiana about 4 years ago. We have 350 people here.
Yeah.
Now, if we look forward 5 years from now, what do you think this industry is going to look like? Do you think it's going to be primarily in-house? Do you think there's going to be maybe educational programs that focus on this in college that maybe have some classes on it? Where do you see this going?
So, I think hopefully 5 years, we're a lot further than we are today. I think on one level, from an association standpoint, I would view the association, through its members really, of being more at the table when it comes to major healthcare policy decisions that the government's making. So we think about, reimbursement changes, G2211, different things. The government doesn't really have anybody to go to. Not necessarily saying they'd come directly to us, but I'd love for them to say, hey, there's an association out there that has all sorts of experts, and we could give them 5 names for people to call. So I think some of it is that. I do think, though, my hope is with this association is that we do continue to just focus on growing the community and continuing to make sure that teams internally within health systems, medical groups, have the resources that they need. Because I talk to so many people where, they'll say, I have 2,000 providers and I have a team of 3. And I just sit there and I'm like, I don't even know how that works. I think in 5 years from now, I would like to see dedicated departments with executive level roles over this area, potentially C-suite roles where you do have a dedicated person that is core to our membership, but is really overseeing kind of broader provider workforce strategy. I think if we're there in 5 years, then we've done our job.
I totally agree. I think this position has, you look back 20 years ago, there maybe was not an individual.
Yeah.
So now we do have an individual or teams of individuals that do this.
Yeah.
But it's probably not organized right within the organization or has lines of communication to the top of the community organization there.
For sure.
So what advice do you give to those healthcare institutions where an individual calls you up and they have just two individuals managing 2,000 providers? What do you tell them besides joining up for the AAPCP?
Well, that is the first thing I tell them. Join the AAPCP. Typically what I do is I actually start giving them a bunch of resources that we already have within the AAPCP. So we have multiple department surveys at this point. We have salary surveys with individuals in these roles. A lot of the issues that I see with smaller departments is there's not a lot of internal advocacy, not only for positions, but also for pay. And so then you don't get people that want to work in this department because there's no growth, and maybe it's somewhat cyclical. So we're automatically giving those groups as many internal resources as we can. And then the other piece that I typically do is I actually tell them, invite yourself and maybe your boss to this conference. Have them experience what's going on elsewhere. They can have the conversations with others and see the investment that's needed in this, hear the presentations and everything else, and they're going to walk away saying, you know what are we doing? We're not spending enough time on this. We've got, probably some internal expertise that we can continue to foster and grow, whether it's new people or experienced people. But that's really where I start with them. And then I'd say on an ongoing basis with those organizations, we try to touch base with them more regularly than others. Not because we, necessarily care more about one member versus another, but all of them are at different spots in their journey. We're trying to meet them at that spot. And some of those requires, hey, how can we help? This and that. Whereas others, if you were going to an organization like mine, the amount of touch bases that you would need are a lot less than somebody else that, really is lacking the resources.
Excellent. Well, you're talking about your organization. What is the biggest driver of change right now in your organization? So your team, what are you focused on the most for the next 12 months?
Yeah, I'd say, the next 12 months is really about, I hate to say it, it's focusing on recruitment. I think there's a lot of comp design projects that we have going on, but we've had a lot of areas where, we're a regional health system, we're large, we're a multi-billion-dollar system, but we're not as big as the big players out there. The reality is, though, we need to offer all the same services. So I'm seeing a lot of growth, just like GI hospitalist programs, neurosciences, oncology. And so a lot of the focus there is recruitment. But as you know, when it comes to recruitment, you're really also talking about how do we strategically start talking about designing comp models that are going to make sure we're retaining these people. They know, hey, I've got a pathway here. This makes sense. I'd say those are the biggest areas for us in particular within our markets.
Excellent. That sounds, it's pretty complex. You have a lot of new agreements coming on board.
Yep.
Then you have to go out and do sourcing, get them contracted.
Yep.
But then you have the onboarding process. How do you get those contracts executed quickly and then get the folks credentialed so that you're not spending excess money on locums? Yeah. That's a challenge in the marketplace.
It's a challenge. It's messy. It's, I think with credentialing and the whole process, I think once you're inside and you see it, you see how complicated it really is. And there's probably some opportunity to streamline some things there. But, the reality is with every single candidate, you get some where there's a significant negotiation, you get some where there isn't, you get some where you have standardized offers, where it's, hey, this is what we pay everybody that comes in here. And in part, it's not to not pay people fairly. I think it's, competitive and everything else. But you get some cultures where it's, hey, we want new individuals all to get paid the same. And so with all of those, there is a different time frame, though, when it comes to negotiation, execution of a contract, being available to answer questions for those individuals. And also at the same time, one thing we try to communicate is, and I tell this to every candidate that I talk to, and I talk to a lot less than I used to just because of the size of our organization, but I always tell everybody, we're all on the same team. We're going to be working together. We're going to be colleagues. So I'm in a position where we want you on board. You want to be on board, I would assume. So let's just transparently operate, move forward, and hopefully that helps streamline things.
Love that. Love the dynamic. Sometimes it's very across the table, adversarial.
Yes.
And it doesn't need to be that all the time.
No.
How do we come together, foster a stronger relationship there?
Absolutely. Because I do think there is this thought of we are across the table, whereas I kind of sit there and I'm like, I'm not advocating for anything other than getting it right. And I know getting it right, it means different things, but the reality is that it's not an advocacy on one side versus another. It's more of a focus on how do we recruit, retain, and optimize the healthcare workforce that we have. And there's not an advocacy role in there other than for maybe the broader, I guess, healthcare delivery system.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us today and stopping by. Anytime, next time we do some camera work as well.
Love
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks.